Preparing to stream. Okay, I think we can start now.
Okay. Dr. Calvelio, please.
Yes. Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you. Thank you to Your Excellency Lilibet Diopera, embajadora de Filipinas en México, Marisa Winkler, vicecónsul de Filipinas en México, for your extraordinary work for support this event. And also, congratulations to Javier Agote, who will take the word today. Muchas gracias, Javier. I will start, permit me, I will start to read about Javier Agote, Aizpurúa, quien nació en San Sebastián en 1964. Es carpintero de ribera, especialista en la construcción de embarcaciones históricas y de interés patrimonial, formado en 1989 en la prestigiosa Escuela de Carpintería de Ribera del Museo Marítimo de Maine, en Estados Unidos. Estudió las técnicas de construcción naval del País Vasco. Es también promotor y divulgador de cultura marítima y experto en arqueonavegación y expediciones de recreación histórica, además de colaborador en proyectos de investigación arqueológica naval. En 1997 fundó la Asociación Sin Ánimo de Lucro de Albaola y en 2014 abrió las puertas de Itzá Cultura Factoría, la Factoría de la Cultura Marítima, un astillero museo ubicado en Pasay, San Sebastián, donde además de otros proyectos está construyendo la réplica histórica del ballenero San Juan del siglo XVI bajo el patrocinio de la UNESCO. La factoría alberga también la Escuela Internacional de Carpintería de Ribera de Aprendizaje. En 2018 creó Pasay Itza Festival en colaboración con el Ayuntamiento de Pasay, un encuentro bienal donde se dan cita de embarcaciones tradicionales y culturas marítimas de todo el mundo. Es verdaderamente un honor tener a Javier Agote hoy aquí entre nosotros y quisiera mencionar también que Javier Agote es un heredero directo de las hazañas de Andrés de Urdaneta, aquel vasco que en 1565 encontró la ruta entre Manila y Acapulco y abrió el primer circuito de la globalización que hoy mismo heredamos en el mundo contemporáneo. Muchísimas gracias, Javier Agote, por poder estar contigo hoy para que nos converses y nos platiques de esta historia olvidada desde la perspectiva y la experiencia de alguien que se ha dedicado a reconstruir la historia marítima y marinero tú mismo. Gracias, Javier. Tienes la palabra.
Gracias, Tomás. Magandang umaga, buenas tardes. It's a real pleasure to be here with you today. So thank you very much to the Embassy of the Philippines in Mexico. And also thank you, Tomás, for inviting me. It's a great pleasure to be with you from the distance, you know, because I have this map to present the location from which I'm communicating with you. Okay, you know, I like very much this map in which the distance is very much alike between Manila, Mexico, and also Guipúzcoa. And let me introduce you Guipúzcoa because it's a Basque province. You know, the Basque country is a region in Spain, but also in France. You know, we are a region with very distinguished cultural identity. And you know, Guipúzcoa is the smallest province of Spain, but I usually present it as the greatest of the oceans, as you will see in a moment. And I would like to highlight that our small province of Guipúzcoa that you see here, you know, very close to the French border, located in the Bay of Biscay, had a great impact in the development of the Manila Acapulco galleon, as I'm going to show you in my following presentation. Well, this is a closer look from our province. It's very small, as you can see. The scale, you know, it is around 2,000 square kilometers. This is Pasaya, which is the main harbor. It was, you know, in the past, it was the main harbor in which the biggest and more advanced galleons were built during many centuries. And from Pasaya, you know, we had the first royal shipyard of Spain for the Atlantic, and also the most important whaling expeditions used to take off from Pasaya to the New World, as you will see in a moment. But you know, even if it's a small province, it was the birthplace of very distinguished people that I'm going to present you. And Saint Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, he was born in Guipúzcoa. And you know, I would like to start my presentation around mentioning Saint Ignatius, because he had a very important impact in Mexico and also in the Philippines. And you know, the Jesuits were very involved in the development also of the cultural and political exchanges between the two countries. But you know, it is, the Jesuits are considered to be, by many experts, the first global organization of the world, you know. And the thing is that he was very influenced by the maritime context of Guipúzcoa, okay? Because, you know, three of his brothers were very distinguished seamen. One of them was captain of galleons for the Spanish Navy. And he, before he became a holy man, he had very high connections at the Casa de Contratación de Sevilla, which was the agency of the Spanish crown for the commercial trading with the Americas. So yeah, I wanted to highlight, you know, that, but also at Guipúzcoa was also the birthplace of Juan Sebastián Elcano, you know, the captain of the first circumnavigation of the world, that he arrived to the Philippines together with Magellan. You know, we know very well that the Philippines took very well care of Magellan, and Elcano was the man that took command of Magellan's expedition, is the one that succeeded into getting to the Moluccas. And then from the Moluccas, he's the one that decided to go back home, circumnavigating the world. And well, this is also, you know, part of the context, historical maritime context of the small province of Guipúzcoa. well, you see here his map, showing his route, around the world. But then, as Tomás mentioned before, also Guipúzcoa is the birthplace of Andrés de Urdaneta. Andrés de Urdaneta, of course, is the man that started, as you know, the Manila-Acapulco galleon. He is responsible for that, and Andrés de Urdaneta is someone that started his career as a seaman, because he was the pupil of Juan Sebastián Elcano. He learned initially from him, and he was one of the witnesses of the death of Juan Sebastián Elcano, trying to going back again to the Moluccas in 1526. Unfortunately, Juan Sebastián Elcano died in the middle of the Pacific, and he's one of the very few that succeeded arriving to the Moluccas. And then he spent, 8 years learning the weather and current patterns of the Pacific Ocean from the local pilots of the Moluccas. So that's very interesting. And after he spent this time in the Moluccas, the Spanish crown and the Portuguese crown, they signed a new treaty, the Treaty of Zaragoza, in which they decided to reorganize the political and geographical division of the world that was done by the Pope with the Treaty of Tordesillas previously. Back then, over 500 years ago, the Pope decided that the non-Christian world will be divided in two equal parts. Half of it would be the possession of the Portuguese, and the other half of the Spanish crown. And then, because of the Treaty of Zaragoza, the Spanish crown left the Moluccas to the Portuguese, and then they started to get interested in the Philippines, as we will see in a moment. Well, after that moment, the Spanish crown spent like almost half a century trying to find the tornaviaje. They knew very well how to reach the Philippines. That from Mexico, that was not a problem for them. They wanted to develop a commercial trade with China, as we all know, bringing the silver from Mexico to Asia, but then they couldn't find the return route back to Mexico. So they organized many expeditions trying to find that route, but they fail all the time. So they struggle for almost half a century, until again Andrés de Urdaneta, at the monastery of St. Augustine in Mexico. I had the opportunity recently to visit this place with Tomás. It's a very inspiring place. We know that he is buried there, and well, it's very touching to be there. So, he's the man that in 1558 suggested to the king of Philip II, to organize an expedition with the aim of finding the route for the tornaviaje, because he knew, how to find that because of his previous experience being young in the Moluccas when he learned from the local pilots, how to understand the Pacific from the local knowledge. Then the king, Philip II, agreed to send Urdaneta to try to find the tornaviaje, the return route from the Philippines to Mexico, but he asked Legazpi, Miguel López de Legazpi. He was previously the mayor of Mexico, of the city of Mexico. He was a man also from Guipúzcoa that decided to finance that expedition and to be the political leader of the expedition, while Urdaneta decided to take care of the technical aspects of trying to find the tornaviaje. So Miguel López de Legazpi, the founder of Manila, I had the opportunity through Tomás Calvillo to visit Manila twice, a few years ago, and I was very touched to see the tomb, the burial site of Legazpi in Intramuros. It was very, very touching moment for me to visit that very special site. So this is another aspect that I want to present you about the character. Before I talk about the characteristics of the first Manila Acapulco galleon, it is that Andrés de Urdaneta, he was the superintendent of the expedition. He was at the head of all the technical aspects of the construction and also selecting the crew in Puerto Navidad. And in order to guarantee the success of the expedition, Urdaneta chose the crew personally. 33 of them were sailors from Guipúzcoa that he could trust. This is very interesting. After many expeditions failing, trying to find the tornaviaje, he wanted to be sure that he would succeed by directing the construction of the galleons and also by picking up the crew himself personally. So as we know, he set sail from Puerto Navidad in November 21st in 1564. Like all the previous expeditions, they didn't have any problem reaching the Philippines, as we know. And then, after a successful crossing of the Pacific, Urdaneta left Cebu on June 1st, 1565, bound for Acapulco, and he arrived on October 8th, 1565. So it was very tough crossing. The Pacific is not always very pacific. Sometimes it gets violent. It's a huge ocean, and it was very difficult, but they succeeded reaching Acapulco. So this was the beginning, as we know, of the Manila Acapulco galleon trading route. And then we are back to Guipúzcoa, because as you can see, these stone carvings, this is unique in the world. These carvings are all 16th century. They are very precisely made, and you can find these in all along the coast of the Guipuzcoan geography. And this reminds the past that was so important, in the field of shipbuilding and sailing in the Renaissance. What I want to highlight is that in the 16th century, it has been estimated by the historians that above 80% of the ships of the Spanish crown that were built for the New World, for the Americas and the Pacific, were built in the Basque coast. Okay, this is a huge amount, and it showcases how the activity in shipbuilding was so important and it was so highly developed in the 16th century. But when we see these carvings, we don't know how were these ships, because something we know is that in the 16th century, the ships were built without using any plans. We didn't know how these galleons were built. We didn't know the characteristics of these galleons. We knew how they look like by looking at the paintings, by looking at the stone carvings that I just showed you. But we had to wait until yeah, there's some micro open. Yeah, okay, thank you. So we have to wait until July 1985, in which National Geographic showcased in the discovery of an extraordinary ship that was found in Canada, in Labrador, and we are talking about the San Juan, okay, that was found in Canada in the context of the Basque whalers that used to go in the 16th century to Canada for whale hunting. And you might not know that the Basque were back then
Oh my God!
the only
And you positively responded.
The Basque were the only industrial whalers back then. It was our great specialty, together with the construction of galleons. And thanks to the Canadian government, this ship, the San Juan, that we know was built in Pasaya, right in the place where I'm talking to you from. The San Juan was discovered and was studied, and because of that, we know many details. We know most of the details of 16th century transoceanic ship building techniques, and this ship was found in Red Bay. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the details of the discovery of this ship. This is the context that the Basque galleons had to face arriving every year to the coast of Canada. This is in the beginning of the summer. This is Red Bay. Nothing to see with the maritime context of Mexico and the Philippines. As you can see, all this ice, a very cold weather, and because of that, the ship that sank right there was found very well preserved. The San Juan, this galleon that was built in Pasaya, is considered to be the best preserved galleon of the 16th century worldwide. So it's very interesting. It was very well preserved because of the very freezing temperatures of the water. It's so cold that the divers, the underwater archaeologists, have to be connected with this hose that was providing them with hot water from the surface. Okay, so they could keep warm and keep working for many hours. It's very interesting to know that for the first time in the history of underwater archaeology, this galleon was dismantled. All the parts were taken apart underwater. Every single timber was taken to the surface. We are talking about 3,000 timbers. And, it's very interesting. They spent 8 years because they could only work in the summertime, and the summer is quite short over there. So, this is one of the 3,000 pieces that they took to the surface. As you can see, the wood is very well preserved. It was very interesting. Every single timber was recorded, as you can see here, by the means of handmade drawings. Nowadays, the archaeologists, they use some other techniques. They scan the pieces. It's a process that can be done very quickly nowadays. But back then, everything was done by hand, and it took them many years to complete all the work. With all these drawings, a group of naval model makers, they made many models of the ship, trying to get all the pieces together to understand which was the original shape of the San Juan. Okay, and finally, after 30 years of research, they succeeded in drawing very detailed plans of our galleon. It's very important to highlight that this was very important because, as I said, in the 16th century, these galleons were built without using any plan, any drawings. So these drawings are made by the archaeologists after going through 30 years of research. Finally, this was the mean of these galleons to be filled up with as many barrels as possible. In this case, we're talking about well-oiled barrels, okay, that made them very rich. It was very precious product. This whale oil. They were the only ones distributing whale oil into the European markets. Finally, with all these drawings, with all this information, their goal was to make a model of the ship. We can see the characteristics of the 16th century galleon with all the details is very interesting. Okay, so the most interesting thing is that this is a 300-ton galleon. It's smaller than the San Pedro. The San Pedro is the galleon that was built by Urdaneta in Mexico, in Puerto Navidad. The San Pedro is estimated to be around 500-ton galleon, so it's bigger than this one. But something we know is that all the characteristics, all the proportions are exactly alike. Something that is absolutely fantastic is that this very same year that the San Juan sank in Labrador is the very same year that Urdaneta successfully arrived from the Philippines to Mexico. So it's the very same year. The San Juan and the San Pedro are sister ships. Okay, so that's a great coincidence. It's amazing. So in my presentation, I announced you that I will talk about how maritime heritage is also a social development factor, a very important one. All depends of our goals. Okay, so I think I always thought that maritime history, maritime heritage, can raise the interest of the public. Like I have seen, in some places, specific places in some countries. So I decided to do alike. So I'm the founder of Albaola. I founded Albaola in 1997 with the aim to revive the local maritime history, but through the revival of the maritime technology that made possible maritime history. Because when you go through history books and you read about such and such sailing, like Manila Acapulco or any other, this was made because of the ships, mostly. So how are these ships? How they sail? What are the characteristics of the ships? What are the technological secrets of these ships and sailing across the Atlantic, the Pacific? Well, this is what we do. We do rebuild these ships. We build ships and boats of different periods, and right now we are building the San Juan in Albaola, which is a maritime museum, as you can see, but also is a shipyard in which we build all types of boats and ships, as I said, using traditional methods in front of the public. And this is the area in which we are building the San Juan. So I'm going to go through a selection of pictures in which you will see the construction process of our galleon. It's for the first time worldwide that someone is building an authentic 16th century galleon, just as it was. This is the greatest value of our project, because every day that we are building the galleon, we are learning from our ancestors. We are learning from their way of thinking. We are learning about the logic of solving technological problems in the 16th century. So this is the first piece of the galleon. This is the keel, which is the backbone of the ship. You're gonna see this picture is the original one. This is the keel that just been extracted from the bottom of the sea. So it has some characteristics that are very interesting. Usually the keels are made very easily. They usually are made of a square section, and this is not the case. We are seeing a keel and the first plank of the hull all together, carved out of a single tree. Is very interesting, very difficult piece to make, but this is how it was done in the 16th century, and this is how we are building it nowadays in the 21st century. By the way, in the same original place, in Pasaya, like the original San Juan was built, like almost 500 years ago. We are reviving Pasaya by reviving its maritime heritage. So, I don't want to go through technical matters because, it can be a little bit difficult to understand sometimes. Especially, I don't have too much time. So, but we are building the ship using the same type of wood. We are using almost entirely oak trees. This is the best European tree that you can find to build ships. And that's how the original was built. So we are building it with the same type of tree and using the same construction chronology, the same way as it was built originally. Okay, so it has been very interesting because, you know, when I decided to learn shipbuilding, this was in 1985. Then this is the year in which I found the National Geographic that I showed you before, that displayed the discovery of the San Juan. And this is when I started to dream about one day being able to build the faithful replica of the San Juan. So you see, after so many years, which was necessary to get the knowledge, to get the experience, to be able to found the organization that will help me to you know, get the place, get the carpenters, all the skills necessary to build. This is the moment in which we are fulfilling this dream. So for me, it's very exciting. I should point that the San Juan is considered to be the most important 16th century ship worldwide from the scientific community. So it's a great privilege to be building ship. And I was talking about social development. You see all these visitors all around. We get many visitors that are attracted by our project. Everybody come to Pasaya just to see the construction process of the galleon. And this is something that is very welcome by all the restaurants and the shops of Pasaya. They're very happy to get all these visitors because Pasaya is a location in which we don't have a tourism tradition. Okay, so because it's an industrial harbor, it's very nice to have this shipyard museum that attracts many visitors every year. These are some pictures of the inside of the galleon. Visitors are not able to see the galleon from the inside yet. They cannot access yet, but once the ship will be in the water, then it will be a sailing ship. We are planning to go, you know, to different places, to Canada, but also when the ship won't be sailing, it will be open to visitors as a floating museum. So these are details of the construction. And something that is very interesting is that many of the carpenters that are working in the construction are apprentices, are students. I was committed into founding as well an international boat building school, just very much with the same model that I discovered in the boat building school of the United States when I was an apprentice. The apprentice shop of the Maine Maritime Museum was an extraordinary school, and I decided to replicate something very similar. And this is what we do now. We welcome students from many different countries. Most of them are Europeans, but we also get apprentices from, we have from Colombia, from Brazil, from the United States. It's very pleasant to get motivated young people that join us to learn, you know, something that in Europe was getting extinguished. Shipbuilding was disappearing, was almost gone from Spain. It was gone in the Basque Country. So it's very nice to see that the knowledge is being transmitted, and that all these young people are fulfilling their dreams in our organization. We get young men and women, also many women, they come. It's very interesting to see how women are getting interested in in uh, a craftsmanship that it was traditionally, you know, offered to men. So you can see with these pictures how, you know, this galleon is growing, you know, with the same characteristics of the first Manila Acapulco galleon, just slightly smaller, but all the proportions are alike, all the shapes, everything alike. And this is the last picture of the process. It's not how it's looking right now, okay? We have the ship almost finished. It's very close to be launched. We don't know when will be launched yet, but it will probably next year. We still have to get all the masts and the ropes, the sails, the anchors, many items we are going to reproduce ourselves. That's very interesting. And you know, something that is very pleasant is to announce you that from almost the beginning of the construction process, the UNESCO gave us its patronage. And as far as I know, is the first time that UNESCO supports the construction process of an historical ship. So this is very interesting. It's also interesting to highlight that, you know, the round logo in the right side is the San Juan, and the San Juan was picked up by UNESCO to represent all the sunken ships of the world, all the sunken ships that have an historical significance. Okay, is represented by the image of the San Juan. So this is a privilege as well. Because I'm talking about social development. This is the poster of the Pasaya Maritime Festival that Albaola organized with the town of Pasaya. We are organizing the third edition that is going to be held from the 9th to the 12th of May of this year, which Chile will be our guest of honor. And this is very important because, you know, our festival aim is to celebrate our maritime past. You know, as I said, Pasaya was the main harbor in which the most advanced galleons in Europe were built for many centuries. And you know, also for the last 25 years, we are working to celebrate that past. And, you know, because of Albaola's project, we decided to celebrate, you know, the past and present of Pasaya. And so I have you, I don't know if I will be able to show you the promotional video of Pasaya. Let's see if it works. Okay. I don't know if there's not sound, unfortunately. I don't hear anything, but well, it's very short. If you don't hear the sound, the music, unfortunately, I don't know why, but we can have a look of how the harbor of Pasaya looks like. This is the entrance. It's very scenic place. So here are the ships getting inside. Get ships from different places of Europe. We attract many visitors. People like maritime heritage. Maritime heritage, ships, historical ships, have connected cultures for many centuries. Ships have connected the Philippines, have connected Mexico, also Spain, and of course China, Indonesia. You know, in the case of our Manila Acapulco galleon, it was a huge revolution. That is something that is worth highlighting as the embassy of the Philippines is doing today. So yeah, so this is our festival. And I'm getting close to finish my presentation, and I'm back to the map of Guipúzcoa, my small province. As you can see, you know, all these names: Sant Ignatius of Loyola, Juan Sebastián Elcano, Andrés de Urdaneta, Miguel López de Legazpi. Everyone is tightly connected to the Filipino and Mexican history. And there is another one, Gastañeta. Gastañeta is someone very important. Antonio de Gastañeta was the most successful ship designer of the Spanish Navy of the 18th century. Okay, well, a little bit later, but you know, the last 6 of the Manila Acapulco galleons were built according to his rules. Okay, the last 6 Manila Acapulco galleons, and they were built in the Philippines. You know, they were designed by Antonio, that was born also in Guipúzcoa. So that's very, very interesting. That's something, you know, incredible. You know, as I said, it's the smallest province of Spain, but before I told you, it's the greatest of the oceans, as you can see. And this is a speaker of my presentation. And you know, the last years of the Manila Acapulco galleon, you know, there were years of crisis because, you know, of the political context, the relationship with the Spanish crown, you know, they were getting more and more tense. And also the last years of the Manila Acapulco galleon, you know, there was a lot of smuggling, as you know. So the king was not very happy. Because of that, he decided to create the Real Compañía de Filipinas, you know, to send ships directly from Spain to Manila, okay, to take care of the trading between Mexico and China. Okay, so the headquarters of the Real Compañía de Filipinas were located in Pasaya as well, as you can see, right in the same place where I'm communicated from with you. Okay, and all the ships of the Real Compañía de Filipinas were built in Pasaya. So as you can see, our small province, it was very important. It had a great influence in the relationships between the Philippines and Mexico, and this is something that I'm very proudly presenting to you from Pasaya, from Guipúzcoa. And well, and this is it. So thank you very much. I just want to tell you that I have a dream. You know, I have many dreams that I have fulfilled. I have always tried to fulfill my dreams. I have a shared dream with Tomás Calvillo. Tomás Calvillo, he's the founder, as you know, of the Manila Acapulco Foundation, and he has the desire to build the first galleon in Mexico, and he has the desire to build the last of the galleons in Manila. So I'm ready to fulfill Tomas Calvillo's dream by helping him building these two ships. I don't know if we will be able to succeed this dream, but I'm ready 100%. So if anyone is interested in financing Tomas Calvillo's dream, this is the time to express it. So thank you very much, and I hope that this was interesting for you. Thank you.
Gracias, Javier. Agote, muchas gracias. Thank you very much. I hope that everyone understands very well the importance of this story between Mexico, Philippines, Spain, País Vasco. Is extraordinary, this story. Maritza Winkler, are you there?
Yes, Dr. Calvillo.
I told you that I don't know if you want ask some questions, but you send me some expectations, questions of the students of the college and universities, especially from Philippines, about this conference. And I told you that I have one question for everyone in Philippines, no? Especially people that have interest in understand and study this relation between Mexico, that in that time, in the colonial time, we call New Spain, and this extraordinary story that Javier Agote told us today. And my question is, I think it's really very important to rescue the Spanish language. Yeah, I think so for everyone that try to understand the story of Philippines before the end of the 19th century, will find in the archives the most of the papers is in Spanish language. So I believe that this kind of links that you held, that you pushed, the Embassy of Philippines today take care of that, are really extraordinary and important for Mexico and also for Philippines and also for Spain, because these 300 years of history, we forget extraordinary events, that we need to take care now, today, in this very special and conflict world. We need to look for the memory of our countries, of our people, and find these very extraordinary roots that we have together, and we need to take care about that. And really, congratulations for the Embassy of Philippines for support this project. Congratulations to Javier Agote for what he are doing, continue every day to work in this project, and also to the people that in the Universidad de Filipinas help us, and in la Universidad Nacional de México, to Cristi Obispado and Iván Valdés Bugno. And I hope, Marisa, that we continue with this project.
Yes, Dr. Calvillo. Maybe we could ask our audience to answer the question of Dr. Calvillo. What do you think about it? And then after that, our speaker will answer your questions. Anyone from our participants, especially from the Philippines, to answer the question of Dr. Calvillo about reviving the Spanish language in the Philippines? Anyone would like to answer that from our participants especially from the universities? What do you think about it? Maybe if
Yeah, I would like to, I don't know if you can hear me.
yes, we can
Hello?
hear you, ma'am.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Yes, I'm Maria Eloisa de Castro. I'm an associate professor from the University of Santo Tomas, Manila. With regards to the question of reviving the Spanish language, I think there is a certain level of revival, but it is not necessarily always academic. The Philippines today is a very important hub for the BPOs. These are the call centers in the world. And we service Latin America. And so the Instituto Cervantes de Manila has a very high level of enrollment, and many Filipinos are enrolling, but mostly because they are call center agents that need to service Latin America, Mexico, Peru, Chile, etc. Now, for the academic side, Spanish has always been taught. But the problem, I think, would be the method of teaching Spanish. I think it should be taught more as a conversational as well as to read, no? To be able to read and to be able to um, speak, no? With others, because the traditional method of teaching Spanish has always been the emphasis on grammar, and I think many students are not attracted by that, no? And so the basic problem in historical research also today would be that scholars are not so familiar with Spanish, and then in fact there's a dearth of Spanish speaking scholars in the Philippines. No, we have a recent graduate from the University of the Philippines, from the Universidad Central de Madrid, who finished her PhD. And then I think we have one from Mexico, I think, no, also from UP. But we need more, and we need more. We need good Spanish professors so that we would be able to generate more interest regarding that. But with regards to the interest in Spanish history, I think many young people are interested. It's just that a matter of coordinating between, I think, government as well as private enterprises regarding this. I hope I gave you some idea of what is happening in the Philippines. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Eloisa. Mr. Agoti, we have a question here. How did the galleon trade affect globalization?
Say again?
How did the galleon trade affect globalization?
Well, first of all, I'm not a historian, okay? I'm a boat builder. So I might not be the most appropriate one to describe that matter. But something that I have learned from my experience in the Philippines, from my experience in Mexico, guided all the time by Tomás Calvillo, I can say that we have seen many similarities in both countries, like gastronomy, customs, words, many things that are the remains of that connection that existed for 2.5 centuries. So we know that many Mexicans were on board of the ship as crew members going to the Philippines. Same thing, Filipinos getting on board and getting to to Mexico. So of course it was a direct connection between the two countries. So as far as I know, this is everything. This is all I can say about that.
Thank you, Mr. Agote. Maybe Dr. Calvillo can add.
Yeah, well, of course, no. The link between Manila and Acapulco, for first time in the second half of the 16th century, was the first time that we can say, the economy world, the globalization in many ways. You have before the Silk Road that the China country used now for his foreign policies. But this, for first time, the Manila-Acapulco linked Asia, America, continent, and Europe. This was the first time that happened, that the trade between Europe, America, continent, and Asia through Acapulco and Manila. You remember that the Manila was very important port of trade from the second part of the 16th century to the beginning of the 19th century. Everything for India, Persia, Thailand, Myanmar, Indonesia, China, all things came to Manila, and after sent to Acapulco, and from Acapulco to Peru, and from there to Europe. So that was the beginning of the globalization economy in the modern times.
Thank you, Dr. Calvillo. Anyone, just please raise if you have a question. We have a question from Mr. Ignacio Nieto.
Yes, thank you very much. Of course, this is for Mr. Agote. And before anything else, muchas gracias por la presentación, fue en verdad fascinante. Por supuesto, entendiendo que usted no es historiador, pero hay mucho de esa parte como navegante, como un experto realmente en la construcción de botes que usted nos puede contribuir, ¿no? And my question is, my question is precisely about that, in the sense that, of course, you mentioned that there were no blueprints in the 16th century which were for the construction of the galleons. So I would like to know, besides, you already mentioned the carvings, you already mentioned some other references, of course, the discovery in Labrador, but what other sources, what other historical sources were those from which you took the references for your historical revivals, for your reconstruction of these ships? That will be one question. And the other, you also mentioned something about the chronology in the shipbuilding, in the shipbuilding methodology that you are carrying out right now. But what else you are trying to do to be, let's say, historical accurate, or historically, I don't know, fiel históricamente to the shipbuilding? I'm thinking more specifically in the tools. Are you trying to use some tools from the 16th century or something like that? Those will be my questions. And again, muchas gracias.
Okay, yes, I'm going to start by the last question. Yes, we use traditional 16th century tools in a big extent, but not exclusively, okay? Because we are not that many. You know, we might be like 10 shipbuilders in a context in which these ships were built by maybe 200 to 300 men, specialized men, you know, back then. So we use also modern tools to reproduce every timber as it was, okay? But yes, and we have a tendency to use more and more 16th century original tools. So this is something that we enjoy very much. And also our visitors, they enjoy seeing us using them, okay? So yes, and we are learning every day, and every day we are trying to develop this approach as much as we can. We are in a moment now in which we are reproducing many artifacts with a blacksmith. We are making lots of iron elements with using exclusively iron processing techniques as they were back then. We are going to produce clothes ourselves in a traditional way to make the cloth for ourselves. And also we are going to reproduce many other artifacts. This is what we are starting now. But then we, together with this 16th century galleon, we have built and we are building different boats, smaller ships from different periods. And most of the boats that we build are from 18th and 19th century. And we build these using blueprints, because these are periods in which they were already building the ships by using blueprints, like it is the case for the 18th century Manila Acapulco galleons that I displayed before. Gastañeta, he was one of the first naval architects that started to use very detailed blueprints in the 18th century.
Okay, before I will read the other questions in the chat, there's another question from Mr. Buffard.
Yes, good evening from Florida. As to the question of having Spanish back as a language in the Philippines, I would like to give my point of view as a businessman. As a businessman doing business in South America, you have a potential market of about 500 million people that I believe the Philippines should look at if they want to have that hemisphere in their point of doing business. Now, how do we get the Spanish language back to the Philippines? I believe should be the whole Hispanic community. In other words, Spain cannot do it alone. However, if we have the 21 other countries like Mexico, like Chile, like Colombia, putting our heads together and make that I would say that the Philippines was once upon a time a Hispanic country, and it still is culturally. So I believe that what the professor was saying is we are doing something on the private level. I'm going this coming February 15 to the 20th to the Philippines, precisely that, to talk to the universities that the Spanish language should be back. Not because it's a beautiful language. No, it's our cultural language. And commercially. We need it to be in front in this crazy world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bufard. There's another question for Mr. Agoti. From all the Manila-Acapulco galleons, how many were built in Mexico? And what type of woods did they use?
Okay, as far as I know, just very few were built in Mexico at the very beginning, and then almost all of them were built in the Philippines. Most of them were built in the Philippines. The type of wood, I'm not an expert about the type of wood, so I have read the type of wood, but I'm not familiar with them, so I'm not the most appropriate to talk about that.
Okay, and there's another question related to that. How profitable was the galleon trade for Spain? Was it enough to justify maintaining it? Was the loss of profitability a factor in ending it in the 19th century?
Well, it was the most profitable company in the world, as far as I know. We are talking about one or two big galleons full of silver, taking this silver to China. It was huge profit, huge profit. Of course, you know, some of that profit, of course, had to stay in Mexico. As I said before, the last years of the galleon, with all the smuggling, less and less profit arrived to Spain. So this is why the galleon ended, with the independence also of Mexico.
Thank you for your answer, Mr. Agoti. We have more people raising their hands. We will, Mr. Abel Perez.
Hello, first of all, mabuhay sa lahat ng mga Pilipino dito y gracias a todos ustedes también por tenerme y dejarme hablar a todos ustedes. Pues quería comentar nada más sobre esa cuestión que tenía ese otro señor sobre el español en Filipinas hoy en día. Pues hay un movimiento hoy con los jovencitos, con todos los jóvenes, o no sea, no todos los jóvenes, pero con algunos jóvenes en Filipinas para revivir el español en Filipinas como parte de nuestra historia también, ¿no? Y también como parte de nuestra herencia. Así que hay un grassroots movement que está pasando hoy que estamos tratando de revivir en una manera sana a los filipinos, a revivir el español porque hay muchas extremas con el español en Filipinas y hay algunos también que no creen que el español debería, que el español no debería regresar. But I'm speaking at from this angle because I grew up in the United States with a lot of Mexicans, so this is why this topic, la historia olvidada entre Filipinas y México, me interesa mucho. Bilang isang Pilipino, lumaki ako sa States na I was raised with a lot of Mexicans, and frankly enough, we have too many similarities that I felt at home with Mexicans as a Filipino. And it's not a coincidence. It's due to our shared history, as everyone has been speaking about, like the Spanish or the Manila galleon from Acapulco to Manila or to the Philippines. So I just wanted to add to that comment that, like, yes, there is an interest with younger people in the Philippines to revive Spanish, but it's a conundrum because the way we have to do it has to be done correctly, with our own history as Filipinos, with our shared history with our Hispanic brothers and sisters. So it's a bit of a sensitive subject, but there is interest. So I just wanted to add that yes, there are still Filipinos like me who still speak Spanish today. Ako ay isang Pilipino din, taga Manila, taga Bulacan, na nagsasalita ng Kastila. Yo soy un Filipino que todavía hablo español de Filipinas, and I just want to say we're not dead yet. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. Dr. Cavillo? I.
You're muted, sir. Dr. Calvillo, you're muted. Okay.
I hope so that we have a lot of work to do in that. I really appreciate what you are doing, the Embassy of Philippines in Mexico, to support this kind of project, to link the students and universities from Philippines and Mexico. And we hope that we can do it, work more links between both countries, and especially with the people of both countries. I appreciate a lot Javier Agote work, because it's the other part, the third part, no? Remember, we are from Philippines, Mexico, and Spain. So it's Europe, America Latina, and Sudeste Asiático. So I think we have a lot to do, things to do it in the next days, years. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Cavillo. More questions? From Mark Ritchie, please.
Yes, good morning from Manila, Ma'am Marisa. No? Just a comment first about the language, because I myself am a language teacher in China. Of course, I'm teaching English, but I want to draw from my experience when it comes to reviving specific language, in this case, Spanish. Well, I just want to answer with two M's. One is we have to really find out the motivation, right? Because we can say that, okay, there are interests somewhere, etc. But I mean, we have to deal with the learner, no, who will really learn the language. So ano ba yung, what are their motivations? That's a very important question. For example, Chinese language, the impetus why many Filipinos like to learn Chinese language. There are many what's this one? Confucius Institutes now, no? It's because of, China has been proactive in terms of international linkages with Filipino universities. So from one Confucius Institute, it's already 3, 4, right? So, and now it's expanding. And then the motivation there, it's more on on culture and economic, no? So that's why there's the use of Chinese language, let's say for let's say those who are planning to work in Taiwan or Singapore, etc. But the question is, do we have that same motivation for Spanish language? I mean, let's say in terms of economic, where will our prospect learners go in terms of jobs, let's say? That's the question that we have to answer when it comes to that motivation. Number two, in terms of exchanges, no, academic exchanges. Yeah, I know that there are offers, but in terms of the magnitude, no, or of the offers, like let's say we have visa-free tourism, di ba? Sa maraming mga bansa sa Latin America, but still, right, the financial capacity, no, to discover those countries, that's something. So if there is something that we can fill in the gap there when it comes to through exchanges, no, faculty, student level exchanges, more robust, we make it more robust, I think that can also, add to the impetus of being motivated to learn the language. And then the other M, media. Remember the Marimar days? During that time, Marimar was so popular. We have to look back dun sa popular culture natin. So maybe there's media cooperation, no? Something to do with media ties, no? Not just when we say media, hindi naman formal news lang yan. Even yung pop culture aspect of media, we can start with that. I am drawing from the experience of Korean language. Imagine, because of the K-pop wave, no, in the Philippines, many young people, kahit hindi sila marunong mag-Koreans, they want to learn. So that's what I'm saying. If we can bring the motivation, right, or the reasons near to those targets, the target learners, no, then we should establish those mechanisms. We don't need to really send people physically, no, to another Latin American country, but that can serve as one form of exchange. But we can also bring to our shores, no, those popular culture or media from Latin America and Spain, and I hope it will be popular here again because it was tested during the Marimar days. No? That's why even other people of my generation, we remember, right? We remember during those times, very popular. So, and that can also add to the impetus of learning the Spanish language. And sir, for my question about maritime heritage, um, because we are aware, no, that there are some countries which use maritime heritage and maritime entitlements as a basis of their political and territorial claims. I just want to ask you, sir, about the case of that one in Canada. Diba, sir? So what are your thoughts about that? Is maritime heritage uh, enough basis for a country to claim something territorially or politically? Because that your answer will be helpful to our case in connection to another country. Thank you.
Mm, Well, as far as I know, is that we are celebrating a common heritage with Canada. I don't know about any political claims from their side. I know that sometimes there are claims around shipwrecks that have gold and silver in their remains. Like is the case of El Galeón San Jose in Colombia. It's a Spanish ship that was sunk by the British in the 18th century. It's also a ship that was built in Pasaya, uh, by the way. So it is known to have 17,000 million dollars worth of silver in its remains, and that creates a controversy. But that's all I know.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Because I'm asking that question because there is another neighboring country here near the Philippines claiming something on virtue of maritime entitlements. So I asked the same question. So we can share.
Yeah.
So that's a very good idea. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you for your questions, Sir Celsius. We have another question related to the galleon. Mr. Agoti, the question is, the Manila-Acapulco galleon can be the first phase of globalization?
Oh,
Can be
yes,
considered.
it is considered to be the first experience of globalization between Asia, America, and Europe. And it was for 2.5 centuries. Which is surprising is that considering the how important it was for so long, it's something that is not very well known by the world nowadays. If I ask around in Spain, who knows something about the Manila Acapulco galleon? Not many people know about that. It's a pity. It's a pity, and something I have to say is that the many Anglo-Saxon countries they have a tendency to highlight their maritime history, and they do it very well. And I don't know why we don't do that, because our maritime heritage is very important. It's really very, very important. So this is I think we should unite all of us, all the countries that were involved in that common history, because it's not only a history of Philippines, Mexico, and Spain, but also involves all the many countries of the Pacific, China, Indonesia, Japan, many countries. So maybe we should create a cultural alliance. This is something that, as far as I know, Tomás Calvillo is trying for many years to do, but we should find a way to create that alliance, cultural alliance of the Pacific and also Europe around the history of the galleon.
Thank
Just
you.
real quick, I wanted to add to that. Being educated in the United States as well in school, the Manila galleon trade was never taught in school whatsoever in the United States. They just talked about the Spanish arriving in the Americas, but nothing was ever talked about from the Mexican trade with the Philippines. So sorry.
That's right.
We would love to hear more questions from our participants, but due to our limited time, we can only accommodate 2 more from Mr. George Lim and Joseph Solis.
Thank you, Miss Winkler. Good morning, buenos días, buenas tardes a todos en México. Aquí en Madrid son las 3 de la mañana, de la madrugada, no? It's very early in the morning, but I'm glad to be here, as well as to see Ambassador De Apera. It was a pleasure to write the Wikipedia article on the Philippine Embassy in Mexico City. So I'm glad that I'm actually here today. I actually do have 2 questions. One is for the staff of the embassy. The other is related to the tertulia. So I'll make sure to ask the tertulia question first. Especially because I am someone who also speaks Spanish. I grew up in the United States like Abel, and I learned Spanish there. But I now live in Spain. That's the reason why it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm participating in the talk today. To the point that I actually, since I noticed el señor Calvillo está aquí, tengo también un ejemplar de tu poemario que me encanta, ¿no? Y es un placer leer sus poemas sobre Filipinas. But anyway, with regards to the 2 questions that I have, the first question is, I'm interested more in migration history. So I read the article by Deborah Oropesa regarding the migration flows from the Philippines to Mexico and to the territories of New Spain during the Galleon period. And according to her, some 3,000 Filipinos moved from the Philippines to New Spain between 1565 and 1700. Now we know that, for example, a lot of the Filipinos that have settled in New Spain settled around Acapulco in the state of Guerrero. But I'm curious to see if that has spread to other parts of the territories of New Spain, because I know that the galleon stopped in other places. It stopped in places like Monterrey in what was then Alta California. And it also stopped in other places as well. And I wonder if Filipino communities have been exhibited to grow in areas where the galleon stopped. And then, because I know we were discussing a lot about Spanish in the Philippines, for embassy staff, I'm curious to hear more if there is, for example, a move to rebuild those linkages with other Spanish-speaking countries. For example, is there an initiative, for example, to see the Philippines join, let's say, the Organization of Ibero-American States? Because all the other Spanish colonies, except the Philippines, happen to be members of said organization, or even other similar organizations, or participating in initiatives of like-minded organizations and the like. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Mr. Josh Lim, for your question. As to reviving the Spanish language in the Philippines, yes, there is a talk now among our head of missions of the Philippine embassies in Latin America. And as for the embassy, we are really trying our best to study the language because it's very important for us. So all of us now are enrolling at the Universidad Nacional Autónoma de México.
I mean, to your credit, Miss Winkler, I've watched speeches. I've heard Ambassador De Apera speak in Spanish. You folks are doing a wonderful job. And you should all
Yeah.
be commended for, for representing the Philippines the best that you can in Mexico. And that goes also for all the other diplomats in all the other Spanish-speaking countries, including here in Spain.
Thank you. And another question from Mr. Joseph Solis, and last from Ms. Paula Marie Montufar of the National Commission for Culture and Arts. Last question, then we will have the closing remarks of the ambassador.
Buenos días a todos. Soy Joseph Soles Alcaide. Tuve una oportunidad como ser profesor de español en la Universidad en Cebu hace una década. And I would like to say that I think if we want to bring back teaching Spanish language in the Philippines, I think we have to teach the language. That's ideal and practical at the same time, because children in a spontaneous way, not in the college level, that they are way beyond the optimal age of language acquisition. And that is, but we know that we don't have enough pool of Filipino Spanish language teachers. If we are serious about reviving the Spanish language in the Philippines, I think in the short term, we have to emulate the example in our Philippine history that the Americans who colonized us, they brought Thomas the Philippines, and they taught our great-grandparents how to do that in the Philippines through hiring native-speaking Spanish language teachers from Spain to Latin America, and at the same time entice economic and cultural interests to the Filipinos to learn Spanish. I think we need to, the Philippines needs to allow Spanish to own properties with 100% equity, and at the same time encourage Philippine mass media contents, telenovelas, Philippine telenovelas, it would entice the revival of the Spanish language at the national level. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Solis, for your comment. And now with Ms. Paula.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Vice Consul Marisa, Ambassador De Apera. I would just like to share personally the Manila Acapulco galleon trade, what affected me as a native from where I came from. So in the Philippines, I live in the Philippines from the Capul Island. It is an island town situated in the northwestern section of the province of Northern Samar. It borders the western of San Bernardino Strait and with the southernmost part of Luzon. It bounds the eastern seagate of the Philippines to Pacific Oceans. From this, the location and proximity of the island to the Pacific Ocean and the prevailing strong currents flowing through the San Bernardino Strait were found practically useful during the galleons about to leave the Philippines via San Bernardino Strait. From where they weigh, anchor, and would return trips from Mexico in the same manner, they would wait for slack waters, gales unfavorable of those frequent stopovers. So the Manila Acapulco galleon trade basically stopped over in our island, which is now Capul. From this stopover, sailors find time to engrave in block letters the word Acapulco. In a rock, at earlier times, Acapulco was used to designate the sitio where the engraved rock was located. Later, it was applied to the whole island, where it replaced the old name Abac. But the natives who are lovers of shortcuts, now our island is now called Capul. So basically, what I just want to share is the effect of the Manila galleon trade to our island and where it had stopped over itself to before it went to Manila.
Thank you, Ms. Paula. Mr. Agote, you want to say something?
No, not really.
Okay. Dr. Calvelio, I will give back to you the floor. We still have a lot of questions, but we cannot entertain all. You can send us an email and we will try to answer you. And we have more episodes, so you can ask the questions, your questions in the next episodes. Dr. Calvelio, please. Okay, so now can we have the photo op first before the closing remarks of Ambassador De Apera? Can everyone please turn on your camera, and then we will have our photo opportunity. Then the closing remarks of Ambassador De Apera.
Okay, please open your camera, please. Okay. 1 second frame. Here we go, second frame. Third frame. One more, last one. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you. Thank you, Sir Arnel. Dr. Calvelio, you want to say something first before the closing remarks of Ambassador De Apera?
Oh, it was a surprise that here the questions of, especially from Philippines and the Filipinos, really I appreciate that everyone was here today, and I hope so that Javier Agote can go again to Philippines, to Manila, and explain them what he are doing. No, I really appreciate the participation of Javier Agote today. I think we can learn many things about his work, and also thank you to the Embassy of Philippines in Mexico. You are work extraordinary here. I appreciate what you are doing.
Thank you, Dr. Calvillo. And now let me call on our ambassador, Philippine ambassador to Mexico and Central America, Ambassador Lilibet Ardepera, for the closing remarks.
Good evening, good morning. I just want to thank everyone for being here in the Zoom meeting. And also I know that there are a lot more people watching the proceedings in our YouTube channel. I just want to comment on what Mr. Lim said. When I was in Venezuela, the Ibero-America group has been inviting the embassy to attend events. And at that time, the main office was in Venezuela. I don't know now where it is, and but yes, we would really want to be actively involved in that organization, because we really want to promote and let more people know about our past. Because as they say, when you look at the past, you will be able to gain more understanding about yourself, and it would help us, guide us in our preparations for the future. Anyway, I just want to thank also Mr. Javier Agote for presenting to us. Although he said that he emphasized that he's a shipbuilder and not a historian, but from the number of people that you showed us came from your province of Capusqua.
Yeah.
It seems that it's really a very how do you say that? There must be something in the air or something in the waters or something in the soil of Capusqua. That's why they all came from that place. Anyway, I just want also to thank Dr. Calvillo, Ambassador Calvillo, for helping us tonight. We would really want to continue having this monthly meetings, conversations, And we hope that more people will be able to reach us, more people will be able to see what we're doing, and more people will be interested to know more about the Philippines and Mexico and the other countries in Central America. We have really deep relations with all of these countries. For a while, we know that, for example, El Salvador was part of the new Spain. So we have the same past. Also, in countries like Panama and Costa Rica, we have similar. The Latin in the Filipinos also we can see it from them. So without much further ado, thank you very much for your presence. Thank you for taking time out. Thank you, Mr. Agote, and thank you, Mr. Lim. You said that it's 3 o'clock in the morning there in Spain, but you're still wide awake. And so thank you very much. Magandang gabi sa
Ambassador,
inyo.
it is completely worth it. Thank you very much for all the work that you folks do in Mexico City. It will be worth it staying up at 3 in the morning to attend from Madrid. Muchas gracias a todos vosotros.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Amba. And that's the end of our first episode. Thank you again, Mr. Agote, Dr. Calvillian, to our partners, University of the Philippines, Dr. Cristel Obispado, and Dr. Ivan Valdez of Philippine-Mexico Studies Program in UNAM. Our next episode will be on March 15. So we will send you the invitation. And please don't forget to fill out the post-event evaluation so that you will receive your certificate of participation. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Have a good night, everyone.
Caracasco.
Hasta luego.
Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias a todos. Maraming salamat po.
Gracias.
Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Gracias.
Ciao, ciao, ciao,
Buenas
ciao.
noches.
Adios a todos. Maraming salamat sa lahat at gracias por todos.
Ciao. Salamat po.